This is question 8 from paper 2 of the AS 2017 biology paper. And it starts by saying Patau syndrome is a condition caused by a mutation affecting chromosome number. All the cells of the body will have this mutation. Figure 8 shows the chromosomes from one of the cells of a female who has Patau syndrome. Now, I think this diagram is confusing because we would never normally see the chromosomes like this because they're shortened and thickened. And of course, the only time we see them when they're shortened and thickened is when they've already duplicated, they've already replicated themselves, and they exist as chromatids, two chromatids together, making the chromosome. But anyway, let's stay with it and see what it asks. It says, what is the effect of Patau syndrome on the chromosomes of this female? Well, the effect on the chromosomes is that she's got one extra. She's got one extra on position number 13. Instead of having a pair, she's got 3. It's not that she's got some missing at position Y, because of course it's a female, the question tells us that, and only a male would have a chromosome in that position. So all we need to say is there is an extra chromosome 13. In fact, the examiner's report says that any indication, even on the diagram, for example, circling chromosomes 13, would give you the correct answer. However, if you had used the word chromatid, you would get it wrong because, of course, a chromatid is part of a chromosome when it's doubled itself and it is connected by its centromere. The diagram doesn't show us a centromere, it doesn't show us the copied chromosome, and so it cannot be a chromatid. Looking at the next question, it says, describe how the change in chromosome number in Patau syndrome was produced. Only 2 marks, so what we need to be clear about is that it's during meiosis that the sister chromatids did not separate. In other words, there was non-disjunction. And just to help explain that, I've drawn a little diagram where we can see there are 2 chromosomes in the gamete just before it undergoes its 2 divisions. Meiosis 1, it splits the chromosomes, 1 in each, and then in meiosis 2, the copied chromosome is split from the other chromosome, and you would normally end up with 1 chromosome in each of the gametes. However, when we get non-disjunction, you end up with 2 of the chromosomes in the gamete, and then of course that is fertilized by the other gamete, which then makes 3. And in fact, the next question draws upon that idea. It says, explain why all the cells of the body will have this mutation. And only 17% of students got the idea that if the mutation arose in a gamete, then all future cell divisions are by mitosis. And so that mutation will be copied because they've all been derived from that original cell. And the mark scheme accepted 2 ways of explaining this. I think they're very similar anyway, but basically all cells are derived from the zygote by mitosis, which produces genetically identical cells, would have got you the 2 marks, or by saying that the mutation arose in a gamete and the mutation was copied by mitosis as all the cells developed from that cell. The last part of the question shows most children born with Patau syndrome die in the first 12 months, often due to defects of circulation of blood. One of these defects is a patent ductus arteriosus, PDA. This can result in some of the blood flowing between the aorta and the pulmonary artery. And they've been very kind because in figure 9, they've shown us a healthy child's heart, and next to it, they've shown us the heart of a child with PDA. Now, this question comes up again and again, but in varying contexts. Often seen as a hole in the heart type question, where there's a hole existing between the ventricles. When we're asked to suggest how the flow of some of the blood between the aorta and the pulmonary artery could cause children to die in the first 12 months, all we need to say is that that type of circulation would lead to less oxygenated blood flowing out through the aorta. And that would happen because some of it is leaking into the pulmonary artery, which doesn't help anyone because it just means that you've got a higher level of oxygenated blood going to the lungs in the first place, where it would naturally pick up more oxygen. So the second mark is to say, so less oxygen is delivered to cells. And of course, most students got those first 2 marks. Although according to the examiner's report, a lot of students didn't write so less oxygen is delivered to cells, they wrote no oxygen, and therefore they didn't get the next mark. The third mark was more difficult for students to get. You needed to write so less oxygen is available for aerobic respiration. Remembering that that level of specificity is needed at A level. We can't just say respiration, we have to say aerobic respiration if that's what we mean. And because of that, organs won't develop properly or work properly, and that will result in death. And you can see how I've adjusted my answer there to remove any ambiguity in my answer. I hope the video has been of use to you. Thanks for watching, and please do leave me a comment.